There comes a moment in your life when you get tired of being overlooked, tired of doubting yourself, tired of holding back who you really are because you're afraid of how the world might respond. If you're watching this, you've felt that moment, that quiet frustration of knowing you're capable of so much more, but something inside you hesitates, freezes, second guesses. You walk into a room and you shrink instead of expanding. You want to speak, but your mind whispers, what if you're wrong? You want to stand tall, but something pulls you down. I know that feeling too well. I spent years playing small, convincing myself that humility meant invisibility, that being nice automatically made me worthy. But deep down, I wasn't kind. I was terrified. And that's exactly where Machiavelli steps in with a brutal truth. Confidence is not a personality trait. It's a strategy, a mindset, a deliberate way of positioning yourself in the world. Machiavelli believed that people respect strength, clarity, and decisiveness, not because they're inherently better qualities, but because humans are psychologically wired to follow those who project certainty. Behavioral researchers like Dr. Amy Cuddy have shown that confidence shapes perception before competence does. Your presence speaks before you do. And here's the psychological twist. Most people rely on others to give them confidence, approval, validation. Machiavelli flips. He teaches you to generate confidence internally, through choices, through posture, through action, not emotion. Confidence becomes something you do, not something you feel. Machiavelli's mindset shift is this: stop trying to be harmless. Start trying to be powerful, not cruel, not manipulative, but powerful, anchored in your own agency, your own boundaries, your own ability to influence the world rather than submit to it. Because here is the harsh truth he understood. When you make yourself small, people believe you're small. When you carry yourself like you matter, people adjust to that reality. Every time. Every time. And in a moment, I'm going to show you the first step in building that kind of fearless confidence. The kind that doesn't shake, doesn't apologize, doesn't crumble. Why you fear being seen, if you ever wonder why confidence feels so fragile. Why a single look, a single comment, a single moment can make your whole self-image collapse. It's not because you're weak. It's because you were trained, without realizing it, to value safety over strength, approval over authenticity, being liked over being respected. Machiavelli understood this long before psychology gave it a name. He saw that most people live with a deep fear of visibility, the fear of standing out, of being judged, of being misunderstood, and modern psychological research backs this up. Dr. Mark Leary's studies on self-presentation theory show that humans are wired to avoid anything that threatens social rejection, even if it costs us our confidence. Think about it. How many times have you held back your opinion just to avoid conflict? How many opportunities have you let slip because you didn't feel ready? How often have you dimmed your own presence because you didn't want to make it weird? This isn't humility. This is conditioning. And Machiavelli would call it exactly what it is: a self-imposed disadvantage. When you hide yourself, you give the world permission to underestimate you. When you soften your edges, you give up your natural authority. When you fear being seen, you hand your power to everyone else in the room. Machiavelli says something brutal but liberating. People judge you based on what you project, not who you are inside. And before that sounds depressing, let me tell you why it's freeing. It means confidence is performable, trainable, sharpenable. A craft, not fate. There was a time in my life when I would enter a room and instantly shrink. Shoulders slightly hunched, eyes downward, voice quieter than I meant it to be. I thought I was being polite. In reality, I was broadcasting insecurity like a radio signal. One day, a mentor told me, "You don't lack confidence. You lack presence." That hit me hard, because he was right. Machiavelli saw presence as the foundation of power, the way you occupy space, the way you hold your face, the way you move, the way you speak. And psychology agrees. Posture, facial expressions, and vocal tone directly alter your internal chemistry. You don't wait to feel confident. You act in a way that generates confidence. Here are the 4 psychological roots of your fear of being seen. 1. Hyper-awareness of judgment. Your brain overestimates how much people think about you. 2. Identity insecurity. Your self-image is built on external validation. 3. Learned helplessness. You've conditioned yourself to play small after repeated 4. Emotional oversensitivity. You interpret discomfort as danger instead of growth. In the next part, I'll show you the Machiavellian mindset that flips all of this. The shift that stops you from seeking approval and turns you into someone others automatically respect. The Machiavellian shift. Stop seeking approval. Start commanding respect. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Machiavelli forces you to face. Most people are not confident because they're too focused on being liked. And being liked is one of the weakest forms of power. Think about it, the people you respect the most aren't the ones who bend over backward to please everyone. They're the ones who know who they are. Speak with clarity, set boundaries, and don't apologize for existing. They don't need approval to validate their worth. Their confidence comes from an inner allegiance, a commitment to themselves. Machiavelli believed that if you want to be truly confident, you need to shift your focus from approval to impact. From, do they like me? To do, they take me seriously. And psychology agrees. Dr. David Rock's SCARF model shows that status and autonomy, not social approval, are what actually stabilize self. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to craft the perfect version of yourself for others? The perfect tone, the perfect smile, the perfect harmlessness. And despite all of it, people still misunderstand you. That's the trap of approval. It drains your self-respect while giving you nothing real in return. There was a time in my life where I'd walk into social situations like I was trying to defuse a bomb. I'd carefully modulate every sentence. I'd smile even when I didn't feel like it. I'd laugh softly to seem agreeable. And at the end of the night, I wasn't proud of myself. I felt fake. Worse, I felt invisible. Machiavelli would say, better to be respected than to be liked. Respect creates stability. Approval evaporates the moment you stop giving people what they want. The Machiavellian mindset shift is this. Stop trying to be the safe option. Start becoming the decisive one. Here are the 4 psychological pillars behind this shift. 1. Self-sovereignty. You are no longer emotionally dependent on people's reactions. 2. Authority projection. Your body language conveys certainty even when you feel uncertain. 3. Boundary expression. You say no without guilt and yes without fear. 4. Controlled vulnerability. You only reveal what strengthens connection, not what weakens your position. This shift isn't about becoming cold or manipulative. It's about becoming someone who isn't ruled by other people's perceptions. Someone who feels grounded in their own decisions. In the next part, I'll show you how Machiavelli believed you build this kind of inner power, not through ego, but through strategic self-discipline, the discipline that makes you untouchable. If Machiavelli had to choose one trait that separates the powerful from the powerless, it wouldn't be charm, intelligence, or talent. It would be discipline, not the harsh, punishing kind we usually imagine, but a quieter, sharper discipline. The discipline of emotional This is where fearless confidence is actually built. Machiavelli believed that a person who cannot control their inner world will always be controlled by the outer one. And modern psychology backs this up. Dr. Walter Misch's research on delayed gratification and Dr. Roy Baumeister's work on ego depletion both point to one truth. Self-discipline strengthens self-control creates confidence. People who master themselves project power effortlessly. Let me share something personal. There was a point in my life where the smallest things could shake me: a critical comment, a weird look, a moment of silence. My self-worth lived outside me, in the hands of whoever was in the room, and it was exhausting. But then I started doing something Machiavellian. Something surprisingly simple. I practiced pausing. When I felt triggered, instead of reacting, I paused. When I wanted to explain myself anxiously, I paused. When felt the urge to fill silence with nervous chatter, I paused, and that pause became power. Because here's the truth. Machiavelli understood. People who react instantly are easy to manipulate. People who pause before acting are impossible to control. That's the discipline that makes you untouchable. Psychologists call this the shift from emotion-driven behavior to value-driven behavior. Acting from intention rather than impulse. Here are Machiavelli's 4 pillars of strategic discipline. 1. Master your reactions. Most people lose status, not because they're wrong, but because they react emotionally. You rise by choosing your response. 2. Control your time. If you're always rushed, overwhelmed, or accessible, you appear less powerful. Scarcity increases perceived value, even of your presence. 3. Restrain over-explanation. Confident people speak clearly, not constantly. Silence is a currency. 4. Stick to your internal rules, set personal principles, and follow them relentlessly. People trust those who are consistent with themselves. I'll tell you something Machiavelli hinted at constantly. Confidence is the natural byproduct of self-respect. Self-respect is the natural byproduct of discipline. When you control yourself, you no longer fear the world. You become someone the world adjusts to. In the next part, I'll show you the mindset shift Machiavelli considered essential for becoming truly fearless, the shift that changes how you see risk, failure, and your own power. The fearless mind. How Machiavelli wanted you to see risk. If you've ever wondered why some people make bold moves without hesitation while others freeze even at small decisions, Machiavelli has an answer, and it's far more psychological than political. He believed that fear isn't the problem. The interpretation of fear is, and until you change how you see risk, confidence will always feel fragile. Let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you talked yourself out of an opportunity because it felt too risky? How many ideas have you dismissed because you feared embarrassment? How many times have you replayed a failure so obsessively that it became part of your identity? Machiavelli would tell you this bluntly. You are not afraid of risk. You are afraid of consequences that exist only in your imagination. Modern psychology completely supports this. Dr. Daniel Kahneman's research on loss aversion shows that the brain exaggerates potential negative outcomes by up to 2 to 3x, meaning your mind inflates danger. It magnifies the worst case, and it minimizes your own capability. This is why you hesitate. Not because you're incapable, but because your brain lies to you in the name of safety. Machiavelli believed that powerful people do something radically different. They redefine risk as opportunity. Where most people see threat, they see leverage. Where most people see fear, they see focus. Where most people worry about what could go wrong, they concentrate on what must be done. Let me tell you a story. There was a time in my life when I was offered a chance to lead a project far bigger than anything I'd handled. My first instinct: panic. My mind flooded with thoughts like, what if I fail? What if everyone sees I'm not good enough? What if I embarrass myself? I almost said no, but something inside me, a small, stubborn part whispered, what if this changes everything? That shift from fear to possibility transformed the entire trajectory of my life. Machiavelli would say, fortune favors the bold, not reckless boldness, strategic boldness. Here are the 4 Machiavellian principles for developing a fearless mind. 1. Fear is information, not a stop sign. Fear tells you where the growth is, not where danger is. 2. Act before you feel ready. Waiting for perfect confidence guarantees permanent hesitation. 3. Embrace calculated imperfection. Trying to be flawless is the fastest way to never move. 4. Reframe uncertainty as advantage. If others are afraid, the playing field is empty. Yours to dominate. Fearless people aren't fearless because they feel safe. They're fearless because they move anyway, trusting their ability to adapt. That is the Machiavellian mindset. In the next part, I'll reveal how Machiavelli believed you must deal with people, because fearless confidence doesn't just change how you handle yourself. It changes how others treat you, how to make people respect you automatically. Here's the truth. Machiavelli understood better than almost anyone. People don't treat you based on who you are. They treat you based on what you allow. Read that again. Because until you understand it deeply, confidence will always feel unstable and inconsistent. You've probably noticed this. Some people command respect the moment they enter a room. Others, even kind, intelligent, capable people, get overlooked, interrupted, dismissed. The difference isn't morality. It isn't niceness. It's presence and boundaries. Two traits Machiavelli believed every powerful person must master. Let me ask you something real. How many times have you let someone talk over you? How many times have you tolerated disrespect because confronting it felt uncomfortable? How many times have you said it's fine when it absolutely wasn't fine? Machiavelli would call this the root of powerlessness. Because if you don't enforce your own value, no one else will. Modern psychology supports this brutally. Dr. Manuel Smith's work on assertiveness. Training shows that assertive individuals are perceived as more competent, trustworthy, and confident, even when their actual skill levels are identical to passive individuals. Meaning, respect is a projection, not a negotiation. Here's where Machiavelli's philosophy becomes painfully accurate. You teach people how to treat you every day, in every interaction. If your boundaries are soft, people push them. If your emotions leak everywhere, people manipulate them. If you try too hard to please, people sense it instantly, and your value drops. Let me share a moment that changed everything for me. Years ago, I was in a conversation where someone spoke to me with a tone that was subtly disrespectful, the kind of tone that stings but is easy to overlook. Normally, I'd let it slide, but that day, something in me shifted. I calmly said, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way. Let's try again." The entire energy changed. Not because I was aggressive, but because I made it clear where I stood. Machiavelli believed that true confidence isn't loud. It's non-negotiable. Here are his 4 psychological principles for commanding respect effortlessly. 1. Limit your availability. Constant access equals low perceived value. 2. Speak less with more weight. People listen when every word counts. 3. Enforce boundaries without emotion. Calm. Firmness is more powerful than force. 4. Reward respect. Remove yourself from disrespect. You dare to punish people. You simply stop participating. This is how you become someone people don't interrupt, don't dismiss, and don't test, not because you're intimidating, but because you're anchored. In the next part, I'll reveal the final Machiavellian shift. The one that transforms temporary confidence into something unshakable. The power stability principle. Becoming unshakable. There's a kind of confidence that fades the moment you're challenged. And then there's the kind Machiavelli admired. The confidence that stays steady no matter what's happening around you. This is what he called durable power. The kind that isn't dependent on mood, luck, or external validation. The kind that doesn't shatter under pressure. The kind that makes people sense, instinctively, that you cannot be moved. Let me ask you a real question. Has your confidence ever felt like sand, solid in calm weather, collapsing in the storm? Maybe you feel strong alone, but shrink in front of others. Maybe you're confident when things go right, but fall apart when criticized. Maybe you can project power, but you can't maintain it. Machiavelli would say, that's because your confidence is built on emotion, not structure. He believed a person becomes truly powerful when they build confidence. The same way a fortress is built with strategy, reinforcement, and foundations that last. And modern psychology agrees. Dr. Christopher Colest. Research on clarity shows that people with stable confidence have 3 things in common. 1. A consistent sense of identity. 2. Internal standards, not external ones. 3. A predictable emotional baseline that means your confidence doesn't come from success, praise, or convenience. It comes from knowing who you are, especially when things get messy. Let me share something personal. There was a moment in my life when everything went wrong at once. A project failed. Someone close to me criticized me brutally, and I made a mistake that embarrassed me more than I want to admit. My old self would have collapsed. He'd apologized for existing. But something different happened. I didn't fall apart because for the first time, my confidence wasn't built on outcomes. It was built on principles I'd chosen. My decisions still made sense to me. My values were intact. And that stability carried me through. That's the Machiavellian power stability principle. When your confidence is rooted in who you choose to be, not how others react, nothing can shake you. Here are Machiavelli's 4 rules for becoming unshakable. 1. Build your identity deliberately. Don't wait to discover yourself. Decide who you are. 2. Anchor your confidence in action, not emotion. Do what aligns with your values, even when you feel doubt. 3. Stay unpredictable. Emotionally consistent. Ethically. People should trust your principles, not your reactions. 4. Never give anyone the power to define your worth. Criticism and praise both become background noise. When you live like this, you stop fluctuating with the weather of other people's opinions. You stop shrinking when challenged. You stop losing yourself in conflict. You become solid, stable, grounded, a presence that others instinctively respect. In the next part, I'll bring all of this together. The discipline, the boundaries, the mindset shifts, and show you how Machiavelli believed you'd turn this into a lifelong form of fearless confidence. The final transformation, becoming fearlessly confident. Machiavelli believed that true confidence, the kind that doesn't shake, doesn't collapse, doesn't beg, comes from one final transformation. Accepting that your power is a choice you must renew every single day. Confidence isn't something you arrive at. It's something you practice through your mindset, your behavior, and your presence. And once you understand this, you stop waiting for confidence and start generating it. Let me ask you something raw and honest. How many times in your life have you waited for the right moment to feel confident? The right mood, the right opportunity, the right amount of reassurance. But the truth is, that moment never comes, because confidence doesn't rise first. Action raises first. Confidence follows. Machiavelli saw this clearly. He wrote that people who hesitate will always belong to those who don't. The world naturally bends toward individuals who act with clarity, certainty, and intention, even when they feel fear underneath. And modern psychology echoes this perfectly. Dr. Albert Bandura's research on self-efficacy shows that we gain confidence by doing difficult things before we feel ready, not after. That means confidence is built through repetition of brave acts. Think about this. Every time you set a boundary, every time you speak clearly, every time you choose respect over approval, every time you hold your ground, every time you move forward despite fear, you are teaching your brain, I am someone who can handle life, and that identity becomes unbreakable. Let me share one last story. There was a moment where I had to make a hard decision, one that risked losing approval, comfort, and stability. My whole body resisted. My mind screamed with fear. But I remembered something I had learned. Confidence doesn't mean the fear disappears. Confidence means the fear stops deciding. So I acted, calmly, deliberately. Not because I felt powerful, but because I chose to be. That single act changed everything, not because of the results, but because of who I became in the process. This is the final Machiavellian shift. Confidence is a daily performance of your values, not your emotions. Here's how you become fearlessly confident for life. 1. Act before you feel ready. Your brain catches up later. 2. Make decisions from strength, not fear. Fear shrinks options. Strength expands them. 3. Show less, hold more. Mystery builds presence. Presence builds respect. 4. Choose yourself consciously. Every day, in small ways, reaffirm your worth. And here's the truth, Machiavelli would whisper to you. You don't need the world to believe in you. You need to believe in the version of you that acts anyway. Because once you do, you become someone people don't overlook. You become someone people don't question. You become someone people don't try to break. You become fearlessly confident by choice, not chance.